From Road America, it's the Global SimRacing Channel's Round 11 coverage of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge Season 8 Championship. 2 rounds up in Canada at 2 very tough tracks has left drivers with a dire need for a reprieve. Just in time, Road America arrives. It's a short jump across the border to this Wisconsin track, which is often cited as a favorite for many drivers. Plenty of long straights to ease the track, and a plethora of passing opportunities will make a stark contrast to the Mosport and Montreal venues that we were just at. With only 3 races remaining after today, drivers trailing in the standings will want to start their late season points rush now. Who will close the gap? Who will fall farther behind? Let's find out as all the multi-class sports car action streams your way live as it happens right here on GSRC. A Badger State hello and peace and good health. Adam Lindgren and Nick Schmeg joins yours truly, Bill Soupson, to bring you our Word's Eye view. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by the Ansel Adams of iRacing, Dougie Beard. Road America's presence in road racing here in the States now verges on 7 decades. Most race fans have become familiar with this circuit, but in case our viewers are new, why don't we head over to Track Guide and learn a little bit about America's National Park of Speed.
Welcome to Road America. Nicknamed America's National Park of Speed, it's easy to see why just by looking at how the track is laid out. Long straights are a major feature, and drivers will build up incredible momentum before they find themselves interrupted by tight 90-degree corners. In fact, for a 4-mile circuit, it has shockingly few turns. It also has little in the way of variation in layouts. The main course is only broken up once with a single chicane added in the bend version. But don't take this to mean that it's a boring track. Elevation change happens many times over a lap, with a few places taking you into corners which are quite blind. But 2 of the turns on the back half of the course are perhaps the most distinctive. One is the carousel with its more than 180-degree radius. It just feels like it never stops. The other is the kink. Terrifyingly fast with very little runoff, it can end someone's race in a flash. As you'd expect, the heavy braking zones make for some ideal overtaking spots. Turn 5 sees plenty with its downhill entry. The hurried downs can offer drivers a chance at a sneak attack if you're brave, and then Canada Corner gives you one last shot before the lap is over. It's no wonder major organizations such as IMSA, IndyCar, NASCAR, and the SCCA all host major races here. All in all, many drivers rate this track as the best track in North America. Many who hop in the seat and try it can quickly understand why.
No better place to social distance than the sprawling confines of Road America. Adam, you know this place.
Yeah, Road America is looked upon by most drivers with excitement and trepidation. Excitement because it creates great racing, but trepidation because the first lap can often be a dangerous one. Exiting the final corner, the track comes over a narrow blind crest before coming to the start-finish line. If an accident occurs in front of the drivers, they cannot see it over the blind crest, and it can lead to a gigantic lap 1 pileup. The rest of the track, though, is a joy to drive. The prototypes will feel the least at home here, as many 90-degree slow-speed turns make this place a little hard for them to find their footing. The GT3s and GTEs will find themselves, however, at home with a good balance of hard braking and medium to high-speed turns. Multi-class here is fairly straightforward, but with one exception: the kink. Patience is a must there, and trying to take an opportunistic dive inside a slower class will end in disaster. Passing here is all about maximizing exit speeds, as there are a good collection of long straights followed by hard braking zones to attempt passes. All in all, this kind of track was built for sports car racing, Soup.
Indeed, it's a great place to race. I love racing here, and I like it works well for a broadcast as well. You know, the Autobahn series has 4 championships. Let's go ahead and work through each of them. Adam, start with the prototype.
Absolutely. The prototypes are very tight, but it was a very interesting event that happened last week when we were in Canada, Montreal to be exact. All 3 of these top 3 drivers did not have good days, but right now Billy Smith leads with 122 points. 6 points over Jason Girard. Stephen McGarvey is only 14 points at back of that, so that championship is not in any way wrapped up whatsoever. Josh Wolf just outside that top 3, 24 points back in the lead, with Miguel Vigo a distant 42 points back. He's not going to be a factor. Our GTE standings, however, are a little bit more spread out here. Bradley Haley leads by 152 points, with Jason DeVries only 15 points back, so he's still in contention for sure, but Kevin Makeley quite a ways out. He is 25 points back of second place and likely out of the championship picture going into these last couple of rounds. Scott McGarvey and Mike Young are tied for fourth, though, so expect to see that top 5 change just a little bit. Nick, you have our GTD and also our team championships.
Yes, I do indeed. The GTD standings, there you see, we've got a tie for first because Paul Lindsay, the Canadian, has caught Sheldon Rosenbaum. And I mentioned he is Canadian. He lives right in between Mosport and the Montreal circuit, and he won both those rounds. He was able to close that gap and tie things up. But Eric Intilli, he's lurking, only 2 points behind. Kevin Santana right there as well. And Ryan Wash, he's getting a good look at that. 34 points back, just in case anything should happen to those front runners. Over in the teams standings, I always like the teams championship format here in the Autobahn series because you need teammates in every single class that you race. Automobile No Disassembly still on top. They've got a nice, comfortable lead over SRN Orange and SRN Gray, and then Lab Rats and Autobahn East further down the field. But I think that in the team standings, these last couple of rounds, the fight for the podium definitely not locked up yet. But Automobile No Disassembly, man, they've got some big names there. DeVries and Kevin Santana up there, especially. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to touch them.
I was multitasking there. Were you saying that Rosenbaum is from Canada? Is that what I heard you saying?
Paul Lindsay, yes.
Oh, Lindsay
Paul
is from Canada. Okay. I hope we get to talk to him. See if he's a fan of Elsinore beer. That's probably that demographic probably missing the mark there for most of you guys. And our director talking says, "Hey, all right, let's go ahead and look at the weather today, Adam. It's fine where I'm looking at it. Let's see what it looks like. And I see a number that does look good.
Yeah, 114 degrees on the track is going to make things very slick, but fortunately, all of these cars are on the new tire model. So that means they take to the track a little bit better and aren't going to be quite so slippery as we're used to. But look at that. The wind out of the southeast at 9 miles per hour, that actually might be affecting the cars as they go into their harder braking zones. So we can expect that the weather, if it stays like this for the race, since we're still in qualifying right now with the prototypes, if it stays like this for the race, it could make things very complicated in those slower speed corners.
Just a few puffy billows you can see from that in-car camera pushing down on the track as the Wisconsin sky. Those little clouds not doing a very good job of cooling off the track. All right, qualifying for the slower 2 classes are done, so now we turn our attention to the prototypes, and, well, there he is, Billy Smith sitting up on top.
Yeah, Billy Smith doing an excellent job in this qualifying session to sit on top of the field. Looks like Joshua Wolf stuck back in 4th position. That's actually a little bit surprising for him. Owen Watts, however, up in that 2nd position right now on the board with Dawson Brock in 3rd. These are all a little bit surprising names, but here we see a familiar name jump up to 2nd. Luke Carbonneau jumps up to that 2nd position. We can expect to see him try and challenge Billy Smith for this pole position. But Billy doing an excellent job holding it off for now.
And as we talk about that, the 492 of Carbonneau drops down to 3rd. With the 266 of Owen Watts now sitting in the shotgun position. Nick, I like this track. I think lap traffic, this being such a big track, even though we have a good-sized field of about 39 or 40 drivers, usually there's enough straightaways where lap traffic, not so much a problem here, right?
Yeah, there certainly is. This 4-mile circuit is really spread out nicely through Elkhart, Lake Wisconsin. And we've seen lap traffic play a factor in pretty much no matter what track we go to. But Road America, yeah, the only thing they've got to watch out for is the fact that it is a 60-minute race. And actually, we've got the rest of the race details that we can take a look at now. The 60-minute race here is going to make for some interesting scenarios because they've just got to be very consistent here. They've got to keep that momentum up all throughout the race. Adam mentioned the weather. If that doesn't cool down at all, 60 minutes is going to put a big wear and tear on these cars. There you see the 3 classes of car there, the prototypes, the GTLMs, and the GTDs. And this is round 11 of 14. So we are getting close to the end of the season, and points a big factor. And, of course, we'll see pit stops and lap traffic and multi-class racing and all sorts of interesting variables play into this race today.
One of the things I like about Autobahn is they always schedule their races kind of regionally. You heard me talk about it in the opening. We are up in Canada. Then we head down to Wisconsin, all kind of in the same area. We have a Japanese leg that we usually go through, an Asian leg, picks up Australia and the Japanese tracks. So we're closing out the season.
Yeah, we definitely
Go ahead.
are. John Ulmer just leapt up to the lead, to the provisional pole in the prototypes with a 152.457. That's his fastest lap of the day, and is 2/100ths up ahead of Billy Smith. So Billy's going to have to turn on the afterburners here.
Joe Peak is competing in the Western States Regional of the Crochet Championship, so he's not here today. I think he has made it to the semifinals. Go Joe. So I haven't been around for a while, but one thing that I do know is John Ulmer, and Ulmer is fast, but at least when I was calling these on a regular basis, he has a reputation of, well, to go ahead and overuse the phrase, the cheese slides off the pizza for the big cheese, and hopefully John will have a good race. He likes American tracks.
Yeah, John has been struggling a little bit in qualifying this season, so it's awesome to see him on top of the leaderboard. But Billy Smith has had the measure of the field for most of this qualifying, and here he goes, jumping up to the lead again. Fastest lap for Billy Smith, a 152.335. That is a quick lap. That is 5/100ths faster than John Ulmer's previous time across the board. So these two now swapping fastest lap times. But like you said, if John has struggles with consistency today, Billy Smith generally doesn't have that problem, and he will snipe this win.
I love this track because there are lots of passing opportunities on it. You have corner number 1, you have down into Canada. My favorite place, if I were going to go stand somewhere on one of these grassy hillsides, would be corner number 5. Wouldn't you think, boys? That's kind of the action corner.
Oh, big time. That's right after the Moraine sweep, the biggest braking zone and arguably the best passing zone at this track. Maybe one of the best passing zones, at least. It's not just that turn 5 is a great passing zone, but you've got to keep that up. It's kind of a double apex with turn number 6, and that goes uphill. It's a blind turn, like Adam mentioned earlier, and blind turns are kind of the name of the game around here at a couple of different places. And not only is that a great passing zone to begin with, but then you've got that excitement to throw in there. Not so sure it's exciting for the drivers all the time, but certainly for us with a safe view looking out there, it's always fun to watch.
Yeah, Nick was on it there. Viewers, watch for the pass to be made in 5, but maybe not finished coming out of 5. We've seen side-by-side battles go all the way from 5 down to the carousel. That's a great place to watch a race down there.
Yeah, so Billy Smith still has now jumped up to that lead position over John Ulmer. Luke Carbonell jumped into 3rd position over Owen Watts as we watched that on screen as he crossed the line. Owen Watts had a slow lap. John Ulmer actually went off track on his last lap, so he went back to grab a spare car and is now out there trying to get a lap over on Billy Smith. Billy Smith coming out of the final corner. If he puts in another faster lap this time around, John's going to be hard-pressed to jump back up there and retake that pole position away from him.
A nice spread in car counts for car classes as we have 10 prototypes, about 13 of the GTLMs, and then a large field down there of the GTDs. It's led by Kevin Santana.
Yeah, that's going to make things a little bit complex when it comes to the multi-class around here, because the evenness of the classes will make it very difficult, especially when we get around to the second time that the prototypes go through the GTD field, because at that point the GTLMs will be up in the GTD field as well, and we'll have all 3 classes meeting at one point on this track. And you can go 3 wide here, but you got to be really careful as the track width is about consistent all the way around.
Looking at Owen Watts as he comes out of the final corner, now gets his foot down onto the gas. He's sitting in 4th right now. His time is a 152.795. It's a long way to the finish line. Look how far it is. He still hasn't put in the time. Now he does. Does not a little bit better, but he's not going to move up the charts at all, staying in 4th with a 52.774.
Here's John Ulmer trying to unseat Billy Smith. He's slow on this lap, so this is his out lap. So he's going to have one more chance. Remember that qualifying does not end when the timer hits 0. So as he crosses the start-finish line, timer's at 12 seconds. He will get one more lap.
There's our current pole sitter, Billy Smith II.
He will not get another lap suit. The timer has struck 0, so this will be his final lap. So if he wants to put any more time on John Ulmer, now is the time.
Sitting with a 52.334. Let's see if he can better that. A good opportunity to see how far the finish line is out of the final corner. Plenty of time to lose the lead, and as he crosses it right now, does not better his time, so that means it's up to Ulmer to see if he can do it. Ulmer sits, boy, just a tick back about 5/100ths of a second.
Here's Shane Hunter, the last driver aside from Ulmer to cross the line. Ulmer will be our final prototype to cross the line here. Shane Hunter trying to improve his time, and he does by 2/10, and that lap does stick, but it's not going to be able to improve his starting position. He will start 7th today.
Looking at Ulmer, you can see how a good example of when the commentator does a little math and not look at the tower. I said 5/100ths. How about 2/100ths? 2 to 3/100ths. Ulmer trying to do this. Through the carousel.
Oh, he's wide.
Okay.
He's wide. He's out.
Coming right at us. Hi, John. Wave. As he goes right underneath the camera. Coming up soon will be the cameras with the vibration. That would have been really cool to have that feature. I believe that's everybody now. As we see, is anybody still out there putting in their time? I think all of the 10 prototypes have their time in. Beautiful shot of the Road America Bridge. So with that in mind, we have plenty of time to get to the grid, but let's go ahead and bring it up now. I think it's done. They give us a full pace lap here at Road America, so we have 4 miles to catch our breath. Sitting on the pole, well, it is Billy Smith II. He's going to be inside of the big cheese, John Ulmer. Luke Carbonneau sits in the 3rd position, flanked by Owen Watts. Joshua Howlin' Wolf sits in the 5th spot, with Never Say Die Dawson Brock outside of him. Lucky number 7, that's Shane Hunter. Kevin O'Keefe in the snowman position. Dean Mall in the number 9 spot inside of Mike Major.
Bradley Haley is going to take the pole in the GTE class. Alongside him will be Jason DeVries. Their championship battle will be reflected in the battle on track today. Marc-Antoine Debost is going to start off in 3rd position. He took a 10-point penalty from last round that he's carrying into this round, so unfortunately his points day may be not so great, but he's definitely up there challenging for the win today. Carter Kundinger is going to start alongside him in 4th. Ross Booth is going to start off in the 5th position, with Leif Peterson starting off in 6th spot. Daniel Grauty mired back in 7th spot. Not so great for him with his qualifying time, with Mike Young in 8th. Kevin Binkley is going to start off in the 9th position, with Vance Bow in 10th. Then Olivier Turcotte in the 11th spot. Robert Canchin in 12th. And then we have our final driver to qualify in the GTEs, Mark Wilson, starting off in the 13th spot.
The GTD field, row number 1, is going to go to Kevin Santana and Paul Slavonic. No shocker to see those two start 1 and 2. Jaron Haslam and Sheldon Rosenbaum will follow in row number 2, and then Paul Lindsay will be starting in 5th. He's going to be aside Eric Antilli in the 35 car, and then Mark Kodrowski and Tim McLeish will follow him. Luke Schmidt and Jerry Mueller right behind in the 195. Sheldon Woloshin and Dominique Dornenberg are going to be right behind us, 35th overall on this grid. Sean Reese, Jared Ian, and Chris Shearburn are going to be the last 3 drivers to set a qualifying time, and then Cody Franklin, he's going to round out this 39-car grid here at Road America.
Thank you, boys, and all the cars line up on the grid. Round number 11 here, season number 8 of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge. We have been here for most of them. Looking back with the pace car off to the right. 4-mile pace lap here, so we have plenty of time. Boys, we're going to do things a little differently today. I'm not going to have you pick a winner. I'm going to give you an over and under on all of these drivers. You can tell me if they're going to do better or worse. We're going to look at Joshua Wolf in the prototype. We're going to put the pressure on you. The over-under for him is 4.5. So if you think he's going to get on a podium or just outside the podium in 4th, you bet the under. If you think it's going to be 5th or above, you bet the over. Adam, 4.5 for Joshua Wolf. Over or under?
Joshua Wolf, I'm putting in the over position. I think he's going to have a good day today, and I think there might be a little bit of attrition with some complicated traffic.
Okay, now over, see, be under. Good, because that'd be 1 to 4, so you're the under. That's why I explained it. Nick, you got it. Over under for Joshua Wolf, 4.5.
I'm going to go over, and I'm going to mean it, Soup. I'm saying I think that attrition is going to play in factor, and I think, I don't know, I think top 5, I think that's pushing it to begin with, but top 4, that's really pushing.
All right, we're going to move down to the GTLMs, and I'm going to tell you the driver here. This is Ross Booth, 15th overall. We're going to go in class. Over-under for him is 4.5 again. Adam, what do you think?
This time I do mean over. I think he's going to struggle today. Ross Booth, I've seen him perform, but he's got strong people behind him. Leif Peterson, Daniel Grouty, Mike Young, Kevin Binkley. I think he's going to be challenged by the likes of them.
All right, Nick, we'll go to you for over-under, 4.5 for Ross Booth.
I think I'm going under here because we see so many times that the GTLM, they're the second fastest class. That means they're also the second slowest class. They get caught up in all the action in between the fastest and the slowest cars. I think those top drivers like Bradley Haley and Jason DeVries, they're going to have to watch out. So they might have some problems, and I think Ross Booth's going to benefit from that and move right up into the podium.
And the other driver we're going to spotlight, we'll go to the GTDs here. We're going to look at Paul Lindsay now. He's been hot of late. Starting 6th in class, over under again, 4.5. Adam, what do you think?
I'm going to leave Nick the obvious choice and go with over. I think that the drivers in front of him are very strong. I don't think he's going to be able to move up, but he also has Eric Antilli, Tim McLeish, Mark Kudrowski behind him. He's going to have a real challenge on his hands to keep those guys behind him.
Well, you know, we saw how good he was in Canada, and we're only in Wisconsin. We're not even that too far from the border, so I am going to go under. I think he's going to be strong here. He's still got a whiff of home.
All right, so the three drivers we're watching, Joshua Wolf, Ross Booth, and, of course, Paul Lindsay. Play along with us at home. If you'd like to play the GSRC consumption game every time one of the commentators butchers one of these names, go ahead, take a sip. The field now working down into corner number 8, this 90-degree left-hander. And as they work through there, hope you enjoy Calliope music as they work towards the carousel. Man, this corner goes on and on and on, especially on a pace lap.
Yeah, I can really break your left front if you're not careful. If you put too much wheel into this thing as you're going around over the course of a 60-minute race, that can really wear your car out and wear your front left tire out, and especially in these slower classes, that can set you up for some really dangerous passing attempts going into the kink. So my suggestion, take it slow and easy. Make guys try and pass you around the outside. It's a lot harder than they think.
Let's talk about the kink real quick. In some cars, the kink is really tricky because you actually have to lift. I haven't spent a lot of time in these higher downforce cars. Adam, is it a problem in the prototypes, or is basically you think it's full out through there?
Prototypes can mostly do it full out if they enter the corner correctly. GTEs, some of them can. It's really setup dependent for them as well. GTDs are going to have to lift a little bit.
Very scary corner indeed. Then down to one of our passing areas, down into Canada. I have been told this is called Canada Corner. Was it Adam? Was it you who told me this, or Nick? Did one of you guys know why it's called Canada, according to you guys? That apparently, if you crash it, the guy who crashed it lived in Canada, and that's where he had to take it home to. I'm not sure if that's correct or not. Now the field starts to put a little distance between them. The prototypes down into corner number 14, the final corner, giving control of the field to Billy Smith. The beautiful Medina Mendez behind the wheel of the pace car today as she pulls it in, giving control over to Smith. Yeah, they're at the chicken steak, covering on the cows. The horses are out of the barn, and Billy Smith, our point leader, grabs the lead. The big cheese comfortably right behind him as they head down into the first corner. Everything is nice and smooth. A little bit of a peak going on there from Joshua Wolf as they go through one. Adam, how are the GTLMs looking?
A fantastic jump from Bradley Haley over Jason DeVries, and then it's still side by side between Marc-Antoine Thibault and Carter Kundinger right behind them for that third position. It's pretty much side by side all the way back in the GTLMs as they're trying to go through that first corner. Looks like they're going to stay side by side as they go into the back stretch. Back to you, Nick, in the GTDs.
Kevin Santana got a nice launch, as he has done so many times this season, but that's all gonna bunch up behind him. As we've got a spinner out of third. That's Jaron Haslam from third place and into the sand trap in turn number 1, our first casualty here in the GTD class.
Our second casualty is
Go ahead.
Our second casualty is Bradley Haley for the lead of the GTLMs. He went off into the grass, no damage, but he's going to have to come out behind all of the GTDs.
And I got one for you as well in the prototypes. Joshua Wolf from car number 148 went off in corner number 5. So if you bet the over on Wolf, you're looking good right now. Attrition happening simultaneously in all 3 classes.
Ross Booth and Kevin Binkley also having problems in the back of the GTLM field, so they're going backwards. Carter Kundinger has just gone off as well. It's complete chaos out there on track, guys.
These are big names with Kundinger and Wolf. Guys that were well up the order.
Kundinger stuck right in between all the GTDs right now as he tries to get back on. He's right behind Paul Lindsay. Lindsay had a great start. He went from 5th all the way up into the podium position.
As you can see them working through the back half of the track. You don't need to go there. This tells you the prototypes are finishing their first lap. You can see it on the tower. Billy Smith gets credit with leading the first lap. We're going to look at the battle for second. This is Ulmer being chased by Carbonneau.
And here's the interesting thing. Carbonneau is a little bit conservative on the brakes here. John Ulmer very strong on the brakes. He's trying to close that gap to Billy Smith and get a good draft down this back straight here. So this is going to make things very complicated. Luke Carbonneau doing an excellent job of trying to make it in here.
And Soup, you mentioned the kink right before we went green. Paul Lindsay, I mentioned he had a great start. Not so much anymore. He just sent it off right at the exit of the kink.
Another one of the drivers that we focused on our over-under. Lindsay, not enjoying the home cooking that he had from Canada the previous 2 rounds. He's close.
Well, when you mentioned that story about Canada Corner, I was worried he was going to go off there, but man, he didn't even make it there.
And here's that incident with the GTDs. This is going through the kink. Paul Lindsay coming through. And oh boy, he just gets a little bit loose coming through the corner on that first lap with these GT3s. It can be really sketchy on those colder tires. Major contact with that outside wall. That's going to be, I'm pretty sure he'll end up in the pits from that.
So what I want to do right now for you guys is we're going to run through the field, top 5s real quick so everyone can catch their breath, tell you what's going on. Let's start with the prototypes. We got Billy Smith out in front by about 0.7 of a second. He's being chased by John Ulmer, but the real battle is happening behind Ulmer with Luke Carbonneau trying to put on the pressure. You go back to 4th position, and you can see Owen Watts there. Then, because of the spin that happened earlier that took out Wolf, it's a long break back to Dawson Brock in 5th. He's got about 3 seconds to get up to the front 4. Let's look at the GTLMs.
Yeah, speaking of long breaks, Jason DeVries, because of Bradley Haley's spin, is now out in front of Marc-Antoine Thibault by about 2 seconds. Marc-Antoine down in the 2nd spot as we see Billy Smith put in the fastest lap of the day. Mike Young is 1.5 seconds behind Thibault in that 3rd position, and then he's being chased very closely by Daniel Gralty, who's looking for a position, a way to get up the field. Then it's Vance Bow, another 1.5 seconds back. The GTLM field mostly spread out aside from that battle for 3rd.
Nick, Kevin Santana?
Yeah, he's leading, and the first row, the 1 and 2 of the GTDs is right, just like they rolled off the grid. It's Kevin Santana about a second ahead of Paul Slavonic. Then you got to go about 3 seconds further back to Mark Kudrowski, who's leading a much closer fight back there. Eric Antilli, and then Sheldon Rosenbaum. He's just barely able to fend off the challenge from Lucas Schmidt right now for that 5th place position.
So there you have it. We worked our way through 15 drivers. Attrition was really tough on these guys early on. Leif Peterson just had a spin. Leif's a veteran. He was racing well down the order in the GTDs. I believe it took in a couple cars, so Peterson and also Jaron Haslam was involved in this one.
Yeah, he's trying to make his way back up through the GTDs, and he just gets a little bit too overcommitted here. We're going to see it. Oh, he already has GTD off track. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and that's Jaron Haslam. And you mentioned how Leif Peterson is trying to make his way back up to the field. Well, so was Haslam.
Oh,
Haslam's going to come through there. And yeah, that GTD is going to nail that GTLM right up in the air.
Not going to be able to bury him in a Jewish cemetery because he got tattooed. Look now at Dean Mardi Gras Mall. Picked up that nickname because of the fluorescent paint scheme that he runs in the Lionheart IndyCar series, or the Retro series. Much more traditional paint scheme now for Dean, racing 6th overall in class.
And Nick, looking back at the timing and scoring, it's looking to me like Sheldon Rosenbaum back in the GTDs is struggling on straight line pace. He just got passed by Luke Schmidt.
Yeah, he did indeed. And there's a little bit of a battle right in front of him as well. Eric Antilli has caught Mark Kudrowski. So like I said, ever since right after you go behind 2nd place in the GTD field, it gets very tight. And you see Bradley Haley actually trying to make his way up through this field as well. He's another one of those damaged GTLM cars who just got stuck all behind this slower traffic, and it's really hurting him. Oh, trouble. Bradley Haley. That's Luke Schmidt.
Oh, he's
Luke Schmidt.
Again, was that the kink again?
Yeah, another
let's-
GTD.
If we can, let's go on board, take another look at it from Tim McLeish when we're all done, because McLeish had the best angle left. So we'll look at this twice. You're not missing anything live right now.
Yeah, and Nick, this is something I noticed last week as well, and also in a couple rounds that we've had. These GTDs can get that back end to come out. Oh, that's a brutal hit.
Then one more time from car number 95, if we could.
Well, you
Now,
mentioned
he was
Tim
about
McLeish.
third or fourth to the scene. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the best view, but he's not going to like this view at all because he's going to, I think, make pretty hard contact with him here.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. That launched him right up. And Adam, yeah, you're right. You mentioned how these GTDs are just so snappy like that. They really are. That is kind of the nature of these heavier cars. They're just struggling on these cold tires to get through on these opening laps.
All right, now, you're looking at Billy Smith, the leader. The real battle is 2 cars back. If we could drop back to car number 492, Luke Carvino in third. He's been under attack from Owen Watts. Watts started in fourth, racing the same position right now, but he has been closing. Remember when we were here last, we thought the Carvino might have something for the big cheese. Well, Ulmer's kind of left him behind now. He's got a full second on him. These top 4 cars, Adam, race very close together. Close enough where pit stops are going to play a factor.
They definitely will. Owen Watts is the slowest of all of them on paper, but it's not mattering that much because of how much draft he's getting from the 4 cars up ahead of him. Now, you may think that he looks way far back, but he's less than a second behind these guys, and look at the draft he's getting on Carbonneau in the background there. But look, John Ulmer is he just looks like he's hanging on the back of Billy Smith right now, so I don't expect him to try and challenge for anything, but Owen Watts trying to get up to that 3rd position for sure.
In the prototypes, can they possibly be saving fuel if you're following somebody, or is Ulmer too far back for that really to matter right now?
I'm just not sure whether it's worth it with a 60-minute race with 1 stop, whether saving fuel is going to make your pit stop that much different.
I agree. Usually in the upper classes, the fuel fills so fast that you're not saving much. Uh-oh, we have something with Turcotte.
Yeah, this is Olivier Turcotte and Robert Canchin. They've been battling side by side for a decent portion of these last laps, and Turcotte just got it, but he's just went a little bit wide there. Canchin looking to the inside, but he decides better of it. He's going to back out and try it on this straight here, unless Canchin might have a little bit of damage or something affecting him on the straight line speed, but we'll see what he does here.
And we don't have to go there. We can stay on this, but I can report as well that Sheldon Rosenbaum has taken it to the pits in the GTD class. He was running 3rd. He picked up just a little bit of damage, so Mark Kedrowski has moved up into the podium over there.
Ooh, wow. Both of these guys getting a little bit wide there as they came through 5. This is going to be sketchy for them. Looks like they're dealing with a little bit of grip loss situation as well. So these GT cars, I thought they were going to be super comfortable around here. It's only 100 degrees on track, so it's gone down about 13 degrees since we started, since the qualifying session. And these drivers are showing a little bit of looseness right now.
You mentioned Mark Kedrowski. He's having a great run. He started 30th overall, racing in 23rd. Now a lot of that is vulturing spots, but nevertheless, picking up spots.
He's trying to fend off Eric Intilli, who is really struggling right now for grip, it seems, behind him. I think Intilli might have been one of those drivers that just pushed those cold tires a little bit too hard, and he's got some company in the form of Kevin Binkley, trying to move his BMW GTLM back up through the field. But it sounds like, Adam, you've got the prototype leaders making their way through traffic for the first time today.
That's right. Billy Smith is having to figure out his way to how to cut through all this traffic, and it's made him really get under pressure from John Ulmer here. John has been able to close the gap significantly. I think this is the opportunity that John's been waiting for, but as he goes past these GT cars, it's going to be very complicated to see how they exit the corner. John Ulmer is given space by Chris Scherber. That was a good move in here, but Billy Smith's going to have to brake here to go around the corner because of Sean Reese in front of him. That's going to give an opportunity to Ulmer. Here we go.
He had to lift, and look at that. Ulmer knew it, and the big cheese now sits in the front of the line. Oh, it's not done yet. Look at Billy Smith diving into deeper than Buddha's belly button. They continue to race side by side through 13A. Coming up will be, oh no, and they get it sorted out. Ulmer does a great job of keeping the cheese on the pizza.
Yeah, that was It was a good thing that Billy Smith didn't pull a Chase Elliott that time around, but John Ulmer's
Not
got
done.
to run here as they go on the front stretch. Oh, a little bit of contact there with Sheldon Woloshin, but this allows him to go side by side with Billy Smith on the inside of the next corner, but they have a long way to go till they get there.
Sheldon, Ulmer had places to go, and you were in his way. I think he took a little bit of your paint with him.
Ulmer able to secure that position. We'll see whether or not Billy Smith is able to challenge as he gets onto the next straight, but he gets a bad line through it because he had to go by Tim McLeish on the apex of the corner. So Billy Smith, not a good launch. John Ulmer off into the distance, P1 so far.
Finally, a little breathing room for Ulmer. Ulmer, Smith, Carbonneau, and Watts.
They've only got 4 more GTDs to make their way past, but then they've got the GTLMs, which might be an even bigger challenge. Not just physically a bigger challenge out there taking up room on track, but also because the GTLMs are so much faster than the GTDs, might make it harder to get around in some corners.
Now remember, everybody, we have 3 classes to watch here, but only 1 screen, so we're going to take a look. Just remind you that you can keep track of your timing and scoring at gsrc.tv if you want to see any of the other classes action and keep up with any of those drivers.
This pinata full of bees right that as you're looking at Kevin O'Keefe working his way through, following Shane Hunter. This is a battle what would be for 6th in class. They work the way around the slower car of Durnenberg. Durnenberg does a good job of staying out of the way. 1 more to come, and that's Mike Major. Boy, Dominic gets off into the Wisconsin alfalfa, but keeps it going straight.
Kevin O'Keefe on the inside of this corner. He's going to have the advantage on the exit, and he's able to get that job done. Shane Hunter stuck in behind him, but he's not done yet. Kevin O'Keefe has to pull away from Shane Hunter before they get to the next straight, because remember, that front straight is the longest on the track, and you can get a lot of draft here, but he's going to have to draft a Tim McLeish up ahead of him as we watch that beautiful drone cam coming out. Look at this, Shane Hunter under pressure from Mike Major behind him now too.
Great racing going on in the fastest class, the prototypes. Let's check back in on our leader, John Ulmer. As he's coming up, we're going to have one of those Eclipse here. He's coming up, well, I guess it's Bradley Haley. Usually I'm used to seeing Haley at the front of the class. He's farther back. Have they got to Santana yet? That's what I'm for. Yeah, they got him already.
Just got by him, and it actually really hurt Luke Carbonneau. He had to sit behind him for a little bit through turns 2 and 3.
Fortunately, Carbonneau still within a second of these 2 leaders, so he's definitely up there. Owen Watts, though, has fallen back 2 seconds because of the traffic, so he's lost touch with these leaders. It's now a 3-car pack battling for the lead in the prototype. I want to update us on the GTLM lead because Jason DeVries has lost about 2 seconds to Marc-Antoine Thibault, who's now within a second of him as they come towards the front stretch here. So Jason DeVries looks like he's starting to struggle on pace in that BMW.
Victor, can we bring up a comparison of lap times with DeVries and Thibault, car number 89 and 037? And we'll see if we can see if DeVries made a mistake or if Thibault has been consistently just kind of running them down. We look at him right now as we work lap number 8.
Yeah, now one thing to remind you of, Soup, Jason DeVries has a habit of playing interesting pit strategy and fuel management, and he seems to be able to make it work. He's won 2 of the races this season with those kinds of strategies, so some of this falling back might be due to managing pace like you see in IndyCar races. So if he's able to do that and win the race today, that would also be impressive. Here's the lap comparisons, and it looks like Thibault has been gaining fairly consistently.
Indeed. Something to keep in mind, we are only a quarter of a way through, working minute number 44. This is a nice battle we look at here at the lead in the GTLMs between DeVries and Thibault.
Yeah, DeVries looks like he's pacing himself a little bit. I haven't seen signs of an uncontrollable race car so far from DeVries, but Thibault still gaining on him nearly half a second a lap pretty consistently, so Thibault might have the lead here very shortly in this class.
Let's go ahead and pick up car number 666. This is car number 927. I'm sorry, director. This is Shane Hunter. If I did that right, as my Shane blinked away from me there for a minute, I may have fooled you. Got us in about there. We're looking at it.
Now, this is the battle with Mike Major that we were talking about, tucked in behind Kevin O'Keefe. Shane Hunter losing that position to Mike Major as he went too deep into 5. So Mike Major able to complete that pass. Shane Hunter now stuck in behind him, and that was all able to be facilitated from a pickoff with the lapped car of Kevin Binkley.
Those guys are fighting at the back of the prototype class, but I want to keep an eye on that, especially when they get to like DeVries and Tybo, when they get to that battle. Those guys are fighting hard, and they're going to be coming up on guys that are fighting also in a class a little faster than them. Or let me correct myself, a little slower than them. When they get there, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, all of these prototype drivers having to navigate with the traffic, and the thing is that the slower the traffic is, often the quicker you can navigate that traffic. But when the traffic gets faster, or when you're dealing with traffic from your own class, that's when you can get really held up, especially around a track like this, Road America, where there aren't many spots where you have to sit behind a slower class. So these drivers are, you know, their blood pressure starts to rise a little bit more when they get closer to these GTLMs.
We don't need to go there, but you can tell a lot by just looking at the tower. Look at the gap from Ulmer now, as we see Mike Major getting in there. That's as it scrolls down. But the gap between Ulmer and Smith has increased. Once they got to clear air, Ulmer was fast and able to pull away.
Well, the question is, can he remain consistent? We've seen trouble with the consistency in the past, so all he has to do is just keep that thing free and clear and clean and not take any unnecessary risks, especially into the kink, and he will be free and clear for the rest of this race, as long as he keeps his nose clear.
Let's drop in on the Canadian, or let's look on Paul Lindsay, the Canadian driver. Nick, what do you see down there? Car number 70.
I'm seeing Paul Lindsay try to make his way back up through the field after he spun right here at the very beginning of the race. He's trying to make his way around Sean Reese right now to Mercedes, going downhill now into turn number 3. And I think Paul Lindsay's going to have this position from 9th on up to 8th, and he's going to be looking for more as he started up in the top 5.
As they drive down, as they'll be heading down into corner number 5, this is where the passing zone would be if Reese had the space to stay with him, but Lindsay consistently pulling away now 7, 8, 9 car lanes.
Yeah.
It's pretty much done.
Yeah.
We're going to take a look at the battle for P2 and the prototypes. Billy Smith really stuck behind traffic. A little bit of contact between him and Luke Carbonneau. Carbonneau off track into the sand trap. He's going to lose a lot of positions from that. And he might come across the track sideways. He almost does. Fortunately, there was a big gap back to Dawson Brock. Luke Carbonneau back on track in the 4th position.
We ride on board with Never Say Die Dawson Brock. As he gets that spot, Brock now up into 4th, and that's led Owen Watts vulture a spot onto a podium. It is all about traffic in the prototypes, where they catch them and how quickly they can get through them.
Billy Smith still was held up there, and Owen Watts managed to cut through the traffic a lot better. So Owen Watts, after watching Luke Carbonneau rather drop off of the track here, he's right in behind Billy Smith, and he might have an opportunity to take a pick here as they're catching up to the lap GTLM of Vance Bow. This can make things a little bit complicated, as Billy Smith's going to catch him at just the wrong time, where he's going to need to try and get a good exit.
And they are coming up on a great battle that's happening in front of them here. There goes Billy Smith around. That's Bow. As we look at Dawson Brock.
Now look at that. Carbonneau already recovering a position from his spin. He just went past Dawson Brock there, coming through 5 and 6. So Luke Carbonneau looks like he's got some fire in him after that spin. He wants to get back up there and start battling with those leaders again.
I think Sean Reese may have just blown an engine. We don't need to go there. He did it on a downshift coming into pit lane. Let's go ahead and look at car number 7, because he actually spins it back out up onto the track.
Yeah, I was taking a look at this. He was coming up the hill. He was already having a lot of damage. He must have gone off somewhere right after we saw Paul Lindsay get by him. The engine will finally let loose, and then he'll take it to the pits.
Not done. It blows, and then this happens.
Oh, boy. Yeah, he spun it right after that. There he is. Oh.
Kind of ends up out on the track.
He's lucky no one was coming around the final turn there, because that would have been very bad, especially if it was multi-class traffic like the prototypes coming through.
talking about the prototypes coming through. Let's go back up and look at Ulmer. He got to this battle into the GTLMs now as he's working. He just got through Tybo. Now he's working on DeVries. Makes quick work of them. It might be fun to stay on the GTLMs for a minute because all the prototypes are going to be coming through. And Marc Antoine has been trying to find some way to get around DeVries.
Yeah, DeVries has actually upped his pace a little bit in order to try and stay ahead of Thibaut. So Thibaut doing a good job of hanging on to the back of him, and DeVries doing a good job of managing his strategy. Remember, you only need to cross the finish line first. You don't need to cross it at maximum pace. So if he could just manage his gap to Thibaut. Look at this, Billy Smith. Oh my goodness, a little bit blocked off line there by Marc-Antoine Thibaut. So he was trying to figure out where the prototype was going to go. Now we've got Owen Watts right on the back of Billy Smith as they exit the corner. This could get complicated. We're coming up to the kink.
That was the opportunity he was looking for. I don't know if he has the momentum. I think Smith was able to get through there fast enough. I could just sense that was going to happen because Thibaut and DeVries have been working real hard. In fact, let's drop back and look at the card. Yeah, we're looking at it. DeVries now under attack from Marc-Antoine.
Yeah, and that's because he wasn't able to go through the kink at full speed because he was put offline. So Thibaut having his best opportunity. This is his best shot he's ever had. Looks like DeVries getting a little bit loose coming through that corner. So Thibaut, if he gets a good exit here, he can have a real shot at taking the lead.
That's 3 car lengths back. DeVries gets the power down good off of there. Let's see as they go up the hill now. Let's see if Marc-Antoine wants to do anything. Look at DeVries weave like a loom down the long straightaway here. Here it comes, 2 car lengths, 1 car length, half a car length. Thibaut ducks to the inside. They're side by side through 1. I don't know if he's going to be able to finish it. It's going to go all the way into 3. They continue to be side by side. They got a slower prototype there.
That's Owen Watts.
Something has happened to Watts. He's going back. He's got it up to speed. That battle finishes. Let's see what happened to Watts. He spun it.
Yeah, Watts with major right rear damage on that car. We're going to see what happened to him here. It's down the front stretch. He's on the back of Billy Smith. I think it might be through 1. He might have just come in a little bit too hot.
And the spin's coming up here and it has double consequences because not only is there his chances, but he comes back out. Now he's going straight, but now it's only a 1-lane racetrack, and Marc-Antoine has nowhere to go. He had to give up the ghost. But Thibaut is not done yet.
No, Marc-Antoine's trying to catch up to the back of DeVries. Here comes Luc Carbonneau trying to cut through, and he's able to do so. He's going to separate this battle a little bit.
That begins to settle down a bit. Let's wait. We'll stay on that a bit, then we'll go check in on the GTDs in just a minute. Let's make sure this is done. It looks like it's done. I'm going to say that one is cooling off for a bit. Nick, what's going on down there in the slow class?
Paul Lindsay is anything but slow right now. He just got by 2 cars almost in 1 lap. He got by Dominic Dornenberg just a little bit ago, and then he just got by Sheldon Woloshyn for that now 6th place. Lindsay continues to make his way up through the field. Is he going to get to the podium position that he had before he spun through the kink? I don't know. That's a tall order with 35 minutes to go, but he's up to 6th.
Next on this hit list, Tim McLeish, but he's got just about 7 seconds to get there. That's a tall order. Great recovery from Lindsay. Other than him working through the field, the GTDs have been pretty well behaved.
Yeah, absolutely, especially for the lead. Santana, 3.5 seconds over Slavonic. Slavonic, 4.8 seconds over Mark Kudrowski, and Kudrowski's got a nice cushion himself, about 4 seconds back to Intilli. So everyone pretty spread out for now, but we've seen the GTDs come together and be very exciting late in these Autobahn races quite a few times before, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some of that happening, because it sounds like the GTLMs are going at it again for the lead.
Adam, here comes Thibaut. He's working on him, working on deep freeze.
Yeah, Thibaut and DeVries have Kevin O'Keefe behind him. Kevin's actually going to stay in behind Thibaut, which is a good decision there, because I don't think Thibaut was going to give him that spot. So he's actually going to back off once again. This is going to put him susceptible to Mike Major, who's trying to tuck in behind these guys. Mike Young only a couple seconds back now. So Thibaut now having to go around the outside of the carousel. This could complicate things a little bit, but he's going to use that to get a good exit here. And once again, DeVries might be held up by Kevin O'Keefe on the center of the kink. Nothing doing. He's able to go through cleanly, so this should make everything good for both of them.
Yeah. There he goes. He gets it done as Carbonneau goes through. I think you made a good point, though. We've been focusing on what's going on with DeVries and Tybo up front as Dawson Brock now makes his way through. We can't forget about what's going on back there with Mike Young. He's only a second and a half back and racing really clean in third.
We're hopping on board with Mike right now, and Mike's racing really clean. And while these two guys battle up in front of them, he's actually been able to close down the gap by from a couple seconds down to just over 1 second. But look at this. Marc-Antoine Thibault has a really good run. He's going to take a draft off of Shane Hunter there and try and close up on DeVries once again.
So fun to watch it from the onboard of Young as the battle we were watching as they go over the hill. You kind of lose sight of them. You don't know how it's going to be when you come back over. Close racing going on up there. Not much going on in the GTDs, and the prototypes have stretched out a little bit too. You can see the tower.
Yeah, Thibault just can't get the better exits off of these corners, so it's really hampering his efforts at trying to make a pass. He might have to chuck it up in deep through turn 5 one of these laps to try and get a position, but he's got a draft now. He's looking towards the inside of the corner. He's going to give it an attempt, but nothing doing. He's going to stay right in behind them. Jason DeVries looking like that BMW is still a little loose.
We've been jumping around a lot, so let's go ahead and stay on this and watch this battle. It's the best one on track right now, and is for the lead of a class. I got to start thinking that we get down to almost the halfway mark. If somebody's going to try to do a little short fill here and get the pass made.
Well, either a short fill or you do an undercut with tires. Either of them is an efficient strategy to try and make a pass. And with the amount of spinning we've been seeing happening on track and the amount of that the tire wear has been affecting them, they are down about a second from their starting pace. So I would expect that tires would be definitely in play here for some of these drivers.
Low-angle shots that we're getting from the Dougie Beard camera show all three cars in the same shot. I like that a lot because you're able to see the white car of Mike Young, 1, 2, and there's Young right behind him, just trying to reel him in. Now the gap is 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, so Mike Young unable to gain right now, and they're not going to have prototypes coming through anytime soon. They're going to be catching up to Jared Eaton in the GTDs probably in about 2 laps. So they have a ways until they start cutting through more traffic.
Nick, I want to check in on car number 95, Tim McLeish. Remember last time we talked about what Paul Lindsay had to do? I think I said it was 7 seconds.
Yeah, you did indeed, and it's now 3.5. And that was 5 minutes ago that you mentioned that. Right. So with pit stops coming up as well with these cars, and Paul Lindsay might be able to stretch it just a little bit further. I don't know. This is looking pretty good for Paul Lindsay right now. Moving up through the field, I think he might get that top 5 fairly easily.
Indeed. He's fell way back with that early incident that he had, but he's been picking off one at a time. When I said it was 7 seconds, like Nick said, I was just a lap ago. It seems like we did that, and he's cut it down in half. We'll keep an eye on him. Look how smooth he is.
Yeah, he's on a mission for sure. Got to be a little nerve-wracking to get through the kinks, though, every single time after you throw it away there on lap 1, or almost throw it away.
Just past the halfway point of this 60-minute affair. Pit stops are going to be coming real soon. Mark down on your calendar the order that they race right now. Ulmer, Smith, Carbonneau, Brock. I don't think we'll see much change there.
Ulmer's in the pits. He has a wreck. Ulmer with no front end in the pits.
Oh, you know what? I think he was trying to get to the pits.
He was.
It was just on him.
He made a late decision to come to the pits. He clips the grass on the entry, loses the car into the right side wall, and then into the tire barriers. I'll seal it right here.
And look at that. To the right of your screen, Billy Smith from second. He followed him right in.
I've gone there so many times, I'm going to choose not to. We'll just say that he's in 7th position, and he's called it a day. Billy Smith pitting from the lead. Well, I guess he was second in, but he comes out in the lead now.
Oh, no, he was first in. Oler never made it to the pits
Okay,
the first time around, so... Luke Carbonell also comes into the pits. Remember, he's still trying to make his recovery. He got up to that 4th position. He's now out of the pits and almost makes contact with the GTLM right there. That was Vance Bow, so now stuck behind him. He's going to make his pass by.
DeVries and Tybo decide to go around one more time. They've yet to come in. In fact, the only prototypes are pitting. Go ahead.
Now, Soup, I'd like to make an update on Bradley Haley. You remember he got pole during this race, and he had that spin on the first lap.
Yep.
He has now recovered up to 10th position, but he's still 6 seconds behind Robert Kanchan, his next opponent. So he's got a long way to go to try and regain some points on the day. But he's still not out of this. I could expect he had about a 12-second gap to Robert Kanchan about at the 50-minute mark, so he could still close this gap by the time the race is over.
Only the prototypes decide to pit. So we go back to Deep Freeze being chased by Mark Antoine. They work through the kink, heading down into Canada. Let's stay on this and see if one of these guys decides to come in this time. The gap back to Mike Young continues. 1.3. Young getting a little closer.
And as we're watching this, all the rest of our prototypes are coming into the pits. That's Dawson Brock, Kevin O'Keefe, Mike Major, and Shane Hunter. So this may give the provisional lead back over to Billy Smith.
And all of the top 3 GTLMs stay out one more time. I just don't expect there to be much excitement going on with these pit stops here. I think everyone's going to come in and come out in pretty much the spot they were. Billy Smith is long gone. He's already into corner number 3.
Luke Carbonneau, though, jumps up to second with that pit stop. So Luke jumping some of the rest of the field up to that second spot. He leaves Mike Major in the dust behind him, who was in second, and GTDs are starting to come in. Carter Kundinger into the pits, Olivier Turcotte, Vance Bow, Robert Kanchan, all in from the mid-pack.
Just past halfway, everybody coming in for their fuel so they can get to the end. Let's go ahead and jump back at, let's look at Mike Young. Car number 21, third, as he has now knocked off another 1/10 of a second. He continues to close in on these guys, and if these guys start to battle, I'm talking about these guys, DeVries and Tabo, Young will be there. All 3 of these cars still need to stop. Oh, that scares me as I had to duck as he went right over my head.
Absolutely. They still have yet to stop, and they actually have the lap GTD cars up ahead of them. So if they... DeVries is going to have to be very calculated here, because if he doesn't pit this time, he's going to have to do some work on some of these GTD drivers. So this could be really complicated. And we just saw Luke Carbonneau make it by these guys as well. That's our second place driver currently in the prototypes. So Mike Young... Let's see what DeVries decides to do here about pit stop strategy.
Oh, that's really close, getting almost bumped off his Tybo. Is that his Carbonneau they're working on? He gets through. The plot thickens, though, now, as Chris Sherburne in the GTD, we're going to have 3 classes. They're going to go 3 wide. And they managed to get it done.
Sherburne did a great job staying over to the left side, and I can report, speaking of the GTDs as well, Soup, we have our first GTD pitters. Eric Antilli and Tim McLeish came in, and I know Tim McLeish gave up that battle to Paul Lindsay, but Paul Lindsay, in 4 laps, he had caught him. He just got around him the easy way once he ducked into pit.
More GTLMs in the pits as well. Mike Young in from that 3rd position. He saw the traffic up ahead and thought, hey, if I pit now, I might be able to come out in clean air and maybe gap these guys as they struggle with traffic. So Mike into the pits, as well as Daniel Graltzy, who pitted with him. Ross Booth as well.
Set you up for that point. I think that's exactly what Young saw. All the nonsense going on. Young is in and now is on his way out. He was only about maybe 1.1 seconds behind the guys that were in front of him.
Speaking of the guys that were ahead of him, Jason DeVries just struggled to get by Sheldon Maloshin in the GTD car, whereas Thibaut is not going to have any such trouble. He's going to be able to sneak his way by. So DeVries held up significantly. Marc-Antoine Thibaut held up by Dawson Brock, who's still trying to get by him. So if Mike Young can get a good outlap, he might have some good luck here.
Indeed, maybe he won't get both, but he might be able to get one. And there is Brock going around. This will give us an opportunity. Can we go back a little bit farther, back to car number 629? This is Kevin O'Keefe. Have not given him a lot of attention. Up 4 spots in the prototype, and he's about to go through these guys that we just saw. This is Thibaut right in front of him. Keefe racing 4th in class. And about tick over 2 seconds behind Brock.
And Nick, you're seeing some more GTD pits.
Yeah, and it's the leaders. Kevin Santana, he gave up his 3.5-second lead to come in, but he's going to keep the lead over Paul Slavonic because Slavonic followed him right in. They sit 1-2 in the pit stall.
The leaders are in. DeVries and Thibaut are in. What I want to do is pick up Young. Car number 21 is just going through the kink right now. My goodness, it seems so far away.
Yeah,
that
but the pits...
Go ahead.
But the pit time delta is 49 seconds, so that's nearly half a lap. So that means these guys going into the pits are going to have to, they're going to be sitting in their stalls for about 20 seconds, and then they have another about 10 seconds until they get to the end of pit road. So Mike Young now coming through the final corner. Let's see whether or not he can get these guys.
He's on the straight. The guys he are chasing remains in the pit lane. DeVries still sits. Now DeVries starts to roll, but it's a little while till he gets going.
But a 2-second faster stop, Soup. That was all the fuel saving he was doing up ahead of the field.
And as they sort out, it's DeVries. Thibaut comes out, and there is Young right behind him. The big winner in that one, Adam, was DeVries.
Yeah, that's because he had that 2-second shorter stop. Amazing stuff from him.
His time in his box, 15.9 seconds. Thibaut, 18. Young, a tick under 18. That assumes that Deep Freeze got enough petrol.
Yeah, Nick, there are still 2 cars that have not yet hit, and those are both GTDs.
Yeah, and their teammates as well, Sheldon Woloshin and Chris Shearburn, who we saw on track in a lot of action just a moment ago. They've been working together most of this race, but yeah, they're just a little bit ahead of Kevin Santana, actually, who was already pitted. That just goes to show you just how quick some of these GTD frontrunners are. I expect them to be coming in this lap by.
Ooh, and Director, if we could drop back to the battle for P7 in the GT-LM class, that is a close one. Bradley Haley just making it by Olivier Turcotte and Vance Bow, and those two nearly side by side as they go through 7. This could get really complicated as Vance Bow trying to make it by on the outside of the corner. Olivier Turcotte a little bit later on the brakes.
Turcotte completes the pass. Now we'll see if he can hang on to it. Or actually, I believe that's Turcotte playing defense. It's Boa coming after him.
Yeah, Vance Bow doing his best to try and get a good run off of this corner, but
this.
He's going to get held up a little bit in the kink here. This could make things complicated. Bow having to brake. He's going to miss the corner. Oh, he manages to hang on to it. That was close.
You know what? I saw him get the run, but Adam, you knew what was going to happen. He was going to catch him at the kink, and there's no way to go through there too wide. And that's what cost him all of his momentum.
Yeah, sometimes it's best to let off just a little early and maybe set up for a good run through the kink. So, unfortunately, losing time that way.
Nick, have all the GTDs, are they done? Am I looking at Lindsay now is up into fifth place?
He did. He jumped Tim McLeish in the pits, and I kind of expected him to because he was about to do it on track right before Tim McLeish dove into the pits just one lap prior to Lindsay. Yeah, Paul Lindsay right back up to 5th, right where he started. He was dead last in this class at the end of lap 1.
Okay, well, I'm not going to make the same mistake I said last time. It's 11 seconds to Tilly. Maybe he can get there. I didn't think he could get to the last guy, and he did.
Took him
He's got 19 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, it took him 4 laps to cut down a 7-second lead, 7-second buffer that Tim McLeish had over him. but the hill gets steeper and steeper for him to climb as these guys get faster and faster, and Tilly's been very quick all day up in that 35 car. So yeah, that's a tall mountain to climb. If anyone's going to climb it, though, Paul Lindsay's your guy.
All right, with the pit window now done, let's catch our breath and we'll run you through the top 5 of each of the classes. It's the pole sitter, Billy Smith. He was pressured early. He was able to fend that off. A mistake from Ulmer means that Billy Smith II is out in front by a whopping 11 seconds over Luke Carbonneau. Carbonneau's been up and down, but he's comfortable now in second with 10 seconds over Never Say Die, Dawson Brock. Brock's got about a 3.5-second lead on the man we said was coming, Kevin O'Keefe in the car number 629. He started in 8th. He's cut that in half now as he races in 4th, and then a very quiet run from Mike Major. In fact, he's about 3 seconds back of O'Keefe. Adam, who you got? I guess we'll start with DeVries, huh?
Absolutely. Jason DeVries currently leading in the GT11 class. He has been very strong today, and he's had the measure of the pace on the field as well as the pit strategy with a nearly 3-second faster stop over Marc-Antoine Thibault. Marc-Antoine, though, is not free and clear of anybody. Marc-Antoine is being challenged very hardly by Mike Young right in behind him, and we might actually see a pass on screen while I'm talking about the two of them. Thibault was up challenging with DeVries, but after that pit stop is now 4.5 seconds behind. Mike Young, on the other hand, with very, very strong run, he's now tucked in behind Thibault. Carter Kundinger, though, in the 4th position. He inherits that position as Daniel Grouthy just had a spin through the kink and is now out of this race. Ross Booth, benefiting from all of that, is now jumped up to the 5th position, being very consistent on track.
Nick, I'm going to steal your rundown for a minute. We're going to save it for just a minute, Director. Let's look at that battle, car number 037 with Thibault, because here comes Young. Man, he has been working on him. We've been watching him run him down, and we want to try to get you the pass live as it happens. We'll run down the GTDs in a minute. Let's see if Young... No traffic for these guys to play around. This is going to be a straight-up battle here.
It definitely is, but remember, Thibault's been following DeVries, and DeVries found very interesting ways to defend against Thibault. It wasn't super active defense, except that one time he called it with them going down the front straightaway. But Thibault maybe has learned something from DeVries on how to exit the corner as well to make sure that you aren't susceptible to a pass. And Mike Young is struggling to get up to the rear bumper of Thibault.
Indeed. I'm going to keep my eye on this one. Let's go back to Nick to talk about the GTDs.
Yeah, it's been all Kevin Santana all day long. He's led every single lap in this class. There you see him after starting on the pole. He's been dealt a bad hand a couple of races, a couple of rounds here recently in the Autobahn series, but things look to be going his way here at Road America. He actually doubled his lead over Paul Slavonic, who we ride on board with now in the pits. It was about 3 seconds before the pits. It was 6 seconds now. Right behind, they've got Mark Kedrowski, who's been looking very strong, but things might be falling off just a little bit for that 944 because Eric Intilli, right behind, has been marching forward very aggressively. He's cut that lead, cut that gap down to 1.3 seconds. That's making things very hard for your 5th place driver, Paul Lindsay, to catch them. Lindsay's still got a nice 11-second cushion to try to cut down.
I think the climb may be over for Lindsay now, as you said it. It gets a little tougher as he gets farther up the ladder. Just about 3/4 of the way through this 60-minute race. The pit stops are done. Drivers now just want to bring it home. Not a lot of battles going on, so it becomes an issue of dealing with lap traffic.
Yeah, one battle that's still going on is Mike Young trying to get onto the back of Thibault, but unfortunately, Young looks like he's being a little over-aggressive with the car. He's over-rotated a couple times in braking and had to go a little bit offline, but he definitely is faster than Thibault. The issue is that I'm not sure he's patient enough to not overdrive the car and make a mistake that'll make him fall off the back again. So once again, this is the closest he's been, and Thibault going wide through the carousel. He takes a little bit of a stab of brake to line himself up well for the exit, but Mike Young right on his rear bumper. Now if he gets a good exit through the kink, he might have a shot at Thibault. This looks like it's decent, but he's not quite gaining in the way that he needs to.
Still with about 14 minutes to go, he can afford to be a little pusillanimous here because he doesn't have to worry. He's got time. He can be a little more aggressive when we get closer to the end. And there's the mistake from Thibault, but he doesn't capitalize.
He can't. Thibault was all over the track, so Young had nowhere to go. He's going to have to take a good exit here. Thibault blocking the inside. That's going to mean he has a bad exit. He gets into the grass once again. Mike Young with a good run down this front stretch will have an opportunity to try and make a pass happen. Where's he going to go?
Look at the defensive line that Thibault takes. He's going to force him to go wide. Put on the reggae music. If you're going to pass me, you're going to have to do it high. They go side by side through corner number 1. The momentum on the top side for Young. He keeps his left sides off the grass. Adam, I don't think he's going to get there, but he keeps them pinned to the inside as they work through 3. Now maybe the up and under.
Yep. Oh, they're still going to be side by side.
Again, the preferred position to Thibault as he plays defense.
Under the Sargento Bridge, here they go down into the braking zone. Remember, Thibault's got an advantage here on the inside of the corner, but Young can do the over-under again. Thibault actually breaks a little bit earlier. Young are on the outside. They're still going to be side by side as they head into the next bridge.
Not over yet. Now they head down into 6. It's going to be hard for Young to finish it here. I think he can close it, have a little bit of momentum. Both cars get a little squirrely. They head down to hurry downs, but I think Thibault was able to fend it off. That took half a lap. That started from the mistake on the whole other side of the track, and they finally got it sorted out.
Beautiful stuff from both of these drivers. Mike Young backing off a little bit to let those tires cool down from that tough fight. Thibault, though, this is a very challenging battle for both of them.
Let's stay on it because here comes the prototype leader, Billy Smith, through here. I don't think it's going to be much of an issue. Go, Nick.
And they're coming up on Eric Antilli, who's driving the wheels off his Mercedes GTD as well. He's trying to catch Mark Kudrowski for 3rd place. That's a battle he does not want to give up. They've got to be careful. All 3 classes are about to meet at once.
So Billy Smith able to navigate by Thibault and Young. He's able to get by Antilli cleanly. Next up is Mark Kudrowski up there in that blue and striped Mercedes. Oh boy, this is complicated behind them. Marc-Antoine Thibault goes to the inside and Antilli goes off to try and avoid contact.
That's the last thing Antilli wanted. That's the best thing Mark Kudrowski wanted to see, but now they got to get around Kudrowski, the next GTD in front of him.
But what that has done, remember Paul Lindsay? He was 11 seconds back. Well, now he's only 3 seconds back and coming.
Unbelievable.
It's Autobahn. It's never over.
And he's still got 11 minutes to get the job done. He's 3 seconds behind and now 2.5 seconds.
So things cracking off here. Like you said, Autobahn, it's never over. Vance Bow actually went off track earlier on in this lap. So Bradley Haley up to the 6th position after his pit stop. So Bradley recovering well from his fight. And we still have that fight for 2nd going on in the GTLMs. Mike Young, Marc-Antoine Thibault almost side by side once again as they go under Corvette Bridge.
Here's Kudrowski. They got to get around. They might meet him right in the kink. We've seen big problems there before.
Thibault signaling to the inside. Looks like Kudrowski's going to give it to him. Mike Young going to capitalize on that as well. That was a good move from everybody involved to avoid contact there. Kudrowski cleanly passed Thibault with advantage going into the carousel.
Thibault's corner in was compromised. Young's corner exit was compromised. I guess it plays out just about the same as they head towards the kink.
Looks like Thibault and Young making it through cleanly. No mistake that time. But remember, Thibault made a mistake into the braking for this corner here. He's able to do so cleanly when not under pressure from Young. So this battle will stay half a second spread.
Just about 10 minutes to go.
If you're
Round number 11 of the Autobahn series. Go, Adam.
Yeah, if you're wondering where DeVries is, while these guys have been battling, DeVries has pulled another 2 seconds on these guys, so he's now 6.5 seconds and more up ahead of this battle as that we're seeing on screen. Mike Young in the draft of Thibault. I'm not sure he's close enough to get him into 1 though.
Yeah, DeVries is part Italian because he has gondola as he's up there comfortably, a 7-second lead on the guys that are chasing him.
Oh, look at this though. Thibault with not a great exit. Mike Young with a much better exit. Here we go, onto the back straight. If Mike Young can get a decent exit here, and he does, he might be able to challenge him into 5.
Thibault doesn't take a defensive line, at least not yet. He starts to do a little bit of a Hornish drift, taking this half out of the middle. I guess there's no room to the inside. I guess I am going to protect the inside. I just didn't do it very clearly. We see this again. It's a replay of what we saw last time. He gets a little bit loose, and that's going to give the momentum to Young. Adam, take.
I'm just not sure he can make it around the outside of the corner, but Thibault not in as advantageous of a position. Mike Young still has a corner in, but he backs out of it, and now has to fall in line behind Thibault. I mean, we're into the last 9 minutes, but in the last 2, I think you take that one, Soup.
How many bites of the apple are you going to take there? As he just couldn't swallow it one more time. And that just lets DeVries get all the more farther ahead. Nick, let's check in on Eric Antilli after his issue. We're going to look at car number 35. He seems to be comfortable in that position. I don't know if Lindsay's going to be able to run him down after all.
Well, I mentioned until he was driving the wheels off that car, I expected him to cool down just a little bit when he slid off into the grass, but he's done the opposite. He's ramped it back up. I don't think he's going to be able to catch Mark Kudrowski. He's still a good 9 seconds behind him, but he's certainly pulling away from Paul Lindsay. What was a 2.5 second gap back to him in 5th place is now almost 4.5 seconds. That's 2 seconds extra just in a couple of laps.
All the intervals pretty much holding station right now. I'm looking to see if anybody is closing. In the prototypes, everybody seems to be pretty comfortable.
One thing I do want to note, though, Soup, is that Bradley Haley might crack the top 5 this race. He's been able to gain significantly on Ross Booth in the last couple of laps in the GTLMs. That 428 car is very strong. Remember, he never made contact with any walls. So as we're seeing it on screen now, Ross Booth trying to pass Paul Lindsay on the outside, and that is Bradley Haley tucked in right behind him. So once again, all of these. Oh, no, there goes Ross Booth off track. Unfortunately, Bradley Haley inheriting 5th. So Ross Booth just going off track, took it a little bit too deep into 1.
Booth needs a plastic bucket and an umbrella and a beach towel because he went off into the sand. You can look at him work his hands there.
Yeah, he just gets on the brakes a little bit late, and then he knows good enough not to slam it on and spin the car around, but pushes off track and unfortunately loses the position to Bradley Haley.
You know what? It was you hate to lose a position that way, but that may have been a fait accompli, as I think that Haley had his number. He still had 7 minutes to get him.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Haley had gained so much in the last couple laps that I think that was a given, but to lose it that way, that always leaves a bitter taste in your mouth as a driver.
Let's look at on Young. Young seems to have lost touch. Well, I guess he's close. Yeah, it's still there.
The battle for second in the GTLMs. I mean, Thibault is starting to put on the afterburners a little bit to try and lead Young into the distance. Remember, we're almost down to 5 minutes to go in this race. So these two guys battling tooth and nail. Jason DeVries has pulled another 1.5 seconds on them. He's almost up to 8 seconds adrift. There goes Shane Hunter by on the right side. That's going to give a little bit more pull to Mike Young.
Shane gets 1 and Shane gets 2. Shane, the last car running in class, but he's still running at least, which more than we can say for John Ulmer, Owen Watts, Dean Mull, and Joshua Wolf. Is Mike Young going to get Marc-Antoine Thibault? He's had 2 shots. He has another shot at him.
Yes, he's had so many shots. All right, he's going to have to do it around the outside again this time. So, but he has a better shot than he's had all race. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, he'll not only be alongside, he'll have a little bit ahead. I think he'll be able to hang on to this.
A little bit of tightness there from Thibault.
Now, this is closer than he's been before. He should be able to hang on to this one through 6. He does. Now he's in the preferred position, but he can't hang on.
He backed out of it again. I think he's worried that Thibault's going to run him over. Thibault actually had a lockup into 5 that time around. So Thibault defending with all of his heart, but his tires are starting to go. I think they might hit the cliff. Mike Young, if he can hang on to his, might have the best opportunity. I mean, we keep saying this, but he might have the best opportunity in the race that he's had.
Nick, we haven't shown Kevin Santana much racing up there, but it won't be long till the battle we've been watching catches up to him.
Yeah, with as much bad luck as Kevin Santana's had to overcome this season, I'm sure he's a little bit nervous with this aggressive fighting coming up in his mirror. I wouldn't be surprised to see that 666 car get out of the way nice and easy for those two drivers in the GTLM class.
Tebow locks up going into the corner. Here comes Mike Young. Mike Young goes by.
That is bad news for Tebow. Probably good news for Santana because he'll be a little more settled down.
I don't know.
Kevin now, look at that. Gets him on the straight.
He's got a 7-second gap over Slavonic. He can afford to get to that inside and just back off the gas a little bit, and I think that's exactly what he's doing. He's providing a little bit of slipstream to both those drivers.
Look at both of those guys trying to get behind and get the run. Go at him.
Tebow's got a good run here, but his front tires are starting to give out a little bit. He might need to twist that brake bias knob a little bit to the rear, but man, he's having a real hard time keeping that car on track. The front tires just do not want to turn on that Ferrari.
There is no more tracking ahead of them. There's a long way before they get to Jason DeVries, who's now opened up a 9-second lead. It'll be between these guys to finish it out. Just over 2 minutes of racing to go.
Look at this. Tebow looking at every opportunity that he has to try and get to the inside of Mike Young, trying to pressure Young into a mistake here, but nothing doing. Mike Young just pulling away a little bit, and Tebow still struggling with the handling of that car.
You can see on the tower, Carbonneau must have had an issue as he was once about 6 seconds behind Smith. It's now 13, but no fear of him losing any spots. He's still comfortable in second. We'll continue on this battle that we're watching. It's the best one on the track. There is something to keep an eye on, though. It's Dawson Brock and Kevin O'Keefe. It's a battle for third in the prototypes. It's about a second apart. If it heats up, we'll jump in there.
Oh no! Tebow way off track through the kink. He manages to save it somehow. He was nearly into the wall.
That's using everything. Boy. Lucky they didn't mow the lawn in Wisconsin because there might have been a little more traction out there.
Oh, yeah, he's just not got no front end on that car anymore. The tire's just completely gone on that Ferrari.
All right, that puts an end to that one, I believe. Well, it's only a second. Maybe he'll be able to get back in it. Let's take this opportunity to look at Brock. This battle is just as close. Brock and O'Keefe only separated by a second. Not nearly as exciting as the other ones. We're under a minute now.
Yeah, this Kevin O'Keefe, you said he was moving up, and he's actually in a position to challenge Dawson Brock. They will be on the white flag lap next time by, so Kevin's going to have to close this gap down to about half a second before they start that lap.
Now it opens up a bit. So that 1.5 seconds. Here's our prototype leader. Out of the final corner. He's going to get the white flag this time. Coming underneath.
I'll keep my eye on the flag.
One lap to go.
It does not appear the flagman gave him the flag, so we'll keep our eyes. It is saying final lap. We'll keep our eyes out, but Billy Smith, assuming he's on his final lap now as well.
Well, Marc-Antoine Thébault would like one more shot at it. He'd like to go around one more time. He's about a second back. These are the battles we're watching. Not much.
Oh, Kevin O'Keefe is around. Kevin O'Keefe.
Yep.
He's around in the final corner. Unfortunately, just took it too deep into that corner, and so he's going to lose those positions back to 6th, last in class, unfortunately.
That was the only other battle we were looking at, was to see if he would be able to get there, and he is not going to be able to pick up that final podium spot.
Jason
so Adam,
DeVries.
does that move? Okay, I'm sorry. Did that move Mike Majors now up into 4th with the mistake from O'Keefe?
Yeah, it does. Jason DeVries, we haven't seen much of him today on screen, but he has been on track leading the whole time in the GTLM class, taking his white flag lap, and Kevin Santana looks like he's up next as well.
Santana going underneath the flag stand right now.
He's got a nice cushion over Slavonic. That's down to 5 seconds as opposed to the 7.5 that he had stretched out. I think he's just been managing the gap, keeping it clean, keeping those worn tires nice and easy around this 4-mile circuit. Lots of places to make a mistake. That's the last thing Kevin Santana wants. He wants to lead every single lap of this race from pole to victory, and he's about to do that.
Well, let's go ahead and put the cameras on Billy Smith as he heads down into the final corner. Nothing but straightaway between him and a round number 11 win here at Road America for Billy Smith.
Not without challenge, not without incident, but Billy Smith secures that win with a very consistent drive, 15 seconds ahead of Luke Carbonneau in second place. What a victory.
Well, let's go ahead and put our cameras on as Billy's cruising across there. Let's look at Jason DeVries.
Deep Freeze DeVries, as we like to call him, the man who makes pit strategy look easy. This guy saved enough fuel for a 2-second shorter stop on the pit stop than the other drivers. He's going to do a great job. Hopefully he's going to be able to I think he's going to stick himself right in behind Sheldon Rosenbaum here and come across the line.
8 seconds up on Mike Young. It looks easy, but it wasn't. He was under pressure early on. Out of that final corner as he heads towards the flag stand. There's a win for Jason Deep Freeze DeVries. Good to have him racing in the series. Nick, where's Santana?
He is coming around the final couple of corners. He's just got one left, man. Any win in the Autobahn series is impressive, but a dominant win, as dominant as this one has been, 60 minutes at Road America. Kevin Santana, hats off to the 666 car, because he is going to get a fantastic victory here at Road America in round number 11. Good for him.
And there you have it. No other battles out on the track. It started off a bit hectic, but things settled down quickly, and we had ourselves a nice race. And the racing is over, but our broadcast is far from done. We'll take a short break. We'll come back and run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. You're watching the Global Sim Racing Channel. Welcome back to the Global SimRacing Channel's coverage of the Round 11 event here from Road America in the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge. The results are in. Let's give them to you now. Billy Smith is our winner. He had a comfortable win. He comes home about 15 seconds ahead of Luke Carbonneau. He did a very good job of running down, but he couldn't get there. Dawson Brock is in third, fends off an attack from Kevin O'Keefe, who finishes down in sixth position. Mike Major vultures into fourth, with Shane Hunter in fifth. Then we get to the top of the GTLMs, and we're going to start with Jason DeVries. It looks more comfortable than it was. He had to fend off a couple challenges, one from Mike Young, one from Marc-Antoine Thibault, but in the end, he gets the win. Young gets second, Thibault gets third. Carter Cundinger, quiet fourth place. The Comet, Bradley Haley, he shot his way back up into fifth position. Ross Booth goes in sixth. If you bet the over on that one, you would win on that one. Vance Bow in 13th spot overall. Kevin Binkley behind him with Robert Cancion and Mark Wilson. All right, you have a lot of work to do now. Adam, what do you got?
Better believe it, Kevin Santana takes the win here in the GTD class, with Paul Slavonic coming home in second spot. Kevin's win, very dominant. Paul only able to get within 5 seconds towards the end of the race. Mark Kudrowski comes home in the third spot, with Eric Intilli in fourth. The man was on a roll, but just lost it just in the last waiting stages of the race. Paul Lindsay comes home in fifth place. Not really where he wanted to come, but he did manage to do a good recovery for him. Tim McLeish comes home in sixth spot, with Dominic Dorneberg coming home in seventh, Sheldon Woloshin in eighth spot, with Jared Eaton in ninth, and Chris Sherburn coming home in 10th. Then we get down to our DNFs and slow runners. Olivier Tricot DNF'd towards the end of that race. Sheldon Rosenbaum, Jerry Mueller did finish, but they finished multiple laps down. Daniel Gralty DNFing, John Ulmer, Owen Watts, Sean Reese, Dean Mull, Cody Franklin, Luke Schmidt, Joshua Wolf, Jaron Haslam, and Leif Peterson all DNFing from this race as well.
And one of those drivers that DNFs it did it right in front of Billy Smith II, our winner. Billy, before we talk about what you did, you maybe had the best view of John Ulmer has a way of finding a way to give away a race, huh?
Yeah, Bill, he certainly does, huh? He got in front of me, in traffic, and it was probably just a matter of time, and was trying to find a way to leapfrog him in traffic again. And coming up on our pit stops, and I looked at the replay. I think I haven't looked at the your end of the video, but I think he hit a bump there, and I don't know if maybe he forgot to pit or what, but yeah.
Well, you did your pit stop went well. You came out, had a comfortable leave, and then it's just a matter of managing the gap. Any trouble with traffic?
Really, it was only like once or twice I had kind of issues with traffic, and got in a situation where it was pretty sketchy. But besides that, traffic was pretty good. It's Road America's long, and it's pretty easy to get around people, so not a lot of issues.
Look, I've been away for a while. It's nice to be back. I got to call it. I want to talk to you. Why are you racing the prototypes now? We've seen you. Boy, I can remember going all the way back to when you were racing the caddies, when GSRC first came on the scene. You've gone up to the prototypes. You like that one?
I like the prototypes a lot. I do a little bit of that type of prototypes and open wheel stuff in real life. And right now, I'm just not exactly happy with the way the sports cars drive. So I really like the way the HPD usually handles and everything. So I've been pretty good here as well. So.
All right, well, Billy, congratulations on another win. You open up your points lead a little bit. Stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Same to you.
Billy Smith, our winner in the prototypes today. Adam, who you got?
I am going to be talking to Jason DeVries. Jason DeVries with a fantastic run this whole race. It appears that he looks like we might have to catch up with. Okay, we do have Jason DeVries. Jason, looks like you were pacing yourself towards the beginning of that race. You're under pressure from both Thibault and Young at some point, but how did you manage to stay ahead of them while trying to hit that fuel number?
I just got, funny story I'm going to start with. My pedals were going awry the last couple of weeks. I had the bright idea to install new pedals at about 7 o'clock this evening on a next to no practice and try to figure things out. So that was a bit interesting, but I was actually driving flat out. Marc-Antoine Thibault had really good pace, and so did Mike. And I just got fortunate with Brad had a little bit of mishap, and then I just kept track position, and I guess I had a little bit better tire wear the second stint, and things just played on my favor. But all in all, that was a good race. Marc Antoine was really fast. That was a lot of fun race with him.
Yeah, Marc Antoine showing how strong he was, especially in defense of Mike Young for a good 4 or 5 laps there. But you had about a 2 second shorter stop than Mike Young behind you, and then you were able to pull away in that second stint. And is it just the fuel savings that the BMW gets naturally, or what do you think was the key to your success with that shorter stop?
I don't know if it's better mileage, getting really aggressive with the fuel calculation that helps out as well. Being aggressive on pit in, and pit out. Your in lap and out lap really influence your time gained or lost in the pit. So it was a combination of things. Mike's really good at the strategy game, so to pull that kind of number on him, that's a pretty big accomplishment.
Well, Jason, fantastic finish today. Another win under your belt. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, big shout out to Ross Booth for putting together a setup. I wasn't going to be able to have the performance I did if it wasn't for him putting the work that he did. So thanks, Ross.
All right, that was Jason DeVries, our winner today in the GTLMs. And Soup, it looks like you've caught up with Kevin Santana.
We're going to go ahead and talk to our GTD winner here. Kevin Santana is number 666. Kevin, oye, como vas, baby? Nice race.
Thank you.
You jumped off to the lead up front. You held it all the way. We tried to put the camera on as much as you could. It seemed pretty peaceful, at least from other drivers in your class. How was the traffic?
The traffic was fine. There was a couple pucker factors on the couple of corners.
Road America, as far as a track goes, kind of friendly for this kind of racing, right? From your point of view, being in the slower class.
Yeah, there's a lot more room for them to spread out a little bit.
All right. You've been really competitive this season, but you've had your share of bad luck. Are you happy with how it's been going?
As long as my wheel keeps working.
That's always good. Let me ask you one more. I gotta get you this question because this is fascinating. Your name is Santana, close to the Satan reference in there. Racing car number 66. That's all tied in? Is that kind of an inside joke?
Actually, no. It was kind of a bit of a thing that when I was in the fire department, one of my friends there had the monitor number of 666, and one of the dispatchers refused to answer him.
I've seen that. Well, look at it this way. You've been upside down a few times, so it's 999 when that happens. So I guess it all depends on the way you look at it. Hey, congratulations on the win today. And good. Let's see if a chance for a championship. Are you too far out?
I'm sitting in fourth going into this, so I know the two in front had issues, so we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, you've won it before. Let's see if you can do it again. Kevin Santana, our winner down there in the GTDs today. And it looks like we're going to have Adam, you get one more driver to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to talk to Luke Carbonneau. Luke Carbonneau, the closest you came to the lead of this race was coming through the final turn on lap 10 with just a little bit of contact between you and Billy Smith. Talk me through that moment because that sure looks scary.
I mean, I was just behind. I know that we were catching Ross Boots and all of my 3 teammates, so I knew that I had a chance to be really close of Billy Smith, and I knew that Boot was there. I just tried to anticipate where he will be going, and I just missed totally my breaking point when I saw Billy just break a little bit too early here.
Yeah, but otherwise, a very good drive from you, very consistent. Other drivers having a little bit of trouble with the traffic. How is the traffic out there for you today?
I find the traffic fine. To be honest, I feel pretty comfortable on this kind of race. I love to drive through the traffic to just try to anticipate where the driver is gonna go in the other class. So it's pretty funny. I love it, to be honest. I know that sometimes it's maybe complicated because you think that you're gonna have a chance to catch the guys ahead of you in your class, but sometimes you just need to deal with it. But in general, I really love, and I think that manage very well the traffic.
Well, speaking of traffic, next week we head to Watkins Glen, which is similar, but with some very big differences, especially concerning the elevation around there. What are your feelings heading into Watkins Glen?
I don't think that I can do a second place for third race in a row. It's one of my racetrack that I hate the most on the game. So I will try to do my best, but I can guarantee you guys that I'm not gonna be there next in 2 weeks.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to us, Luke, and we look forward to seeing you when you join us again.
Take care, boys. Bye bye.
All right, that was Luke Carbonneau, our second place finisher in the prototype class, and it looks like Soup, you've caught up to Mark Kodrowski.
Hey, how's it going?
Dude, Mark, third place finish today.
Man,
Uh,
yeah,
Tell us about Road America and how it played out for you.
I qualified in 7th, and I would have qualified better, just crappy qualifying runs. So, and then somebody crashed on the start, so I got up to pretty much third right away and held it for a long time. I was posting really good laps. My tires kind of got worn, and Eric Intoli, I think his name is, started catching me, and then he was in 1.4 seconds back, and then he got involved in traffic, I think, and ended up spinning out or something, and ended up 10 seconds back. So woo, I escaped with my third place instead of maybe fourth or something like that. So it's good to be up here.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this, because I've been away from the series for a while, but the tires change after fuel on these cars, right? So you're not really able to change tires. Do you worry about saving them early on? Do you have to manage them?
I don't, but yes, you do. I think you do with version 8 of the tire model. But overall, I had just a great time. I changed my brake bite point early on, just this week, and I was fine tuning it. So it's really more predictable. It just, I had to get used to it a little more. So I was worried about that, but other than that, it's great.
Well, congratulations on the podium. Good luck the rest of the way.
Okay, thanks. See ya.
Mark Kodrowski, our third place finisher today in the GTDs. That's going to do it here from Road America. Stick around, though, while I read you these things, because this is important stuff. I might have some kind of surprise at the end. Let's go ahead and thank everybody at the Autobahn organization, including John Ulmer and his team, for contracting with GSRC to broadcast these events. We are sure glad to be doing it. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware on our broadcast that are listed on the screen right now. How about additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And the team today, which would be Nick, Adam, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like more information about GSRC, including a complete list of upcoming broadcasts, you can go to globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, Instagram at GSRC_Gram, and of course you get live time in scoring at GSRC.tv. And if you'd like to support our channel, go check out our merchandise store at GSRCStoreEnvy.com. The link is in the description below. Don't forget to head on over to the YouTube page, which you're probably at right now, and hit that big red button and subscribe so you don't want to miss a thing here at GSRC. The next race coming up, well, that's going to be in Watkins Glen, Monday, June 15th, 9:15 Eastern. Rest assured, Joe Peak will be back to call all the action for that one. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on the calendar. And with that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.